Hi, welcome again to SkillsHub.Life's YouTube channel. I am Jennifer Hale. I am a veteran of the voice acting and voiceover industry, and today I want to talk to some of you more experienced people out there. I want to talk about, what do you do when it gets slow? What does it mean when it gets slow? How do you cope? How do you move forward? How do you manage the head game? How does that all work? First of all, I want to normalize this. It gets slow. It's part of it. It does not mean anything about you or your talent, okay? It is always important to check in, to do a quick check, which that's part of how SkillsHub.Life got built. I wanted just 10 minutes with someone I trust just to check in, and that's how we've built it. You can book a really short little check-in session just to quiet those concerns or address them. You might be doing something that is really invisible to you, but perhaps blocking you, and you can't see that. None of us can see our blind spots, right? And that's why they're blind spots. So what do you do? Let's say you've done that check, and you're doing just fine. There's nothing to do. This used to drive me crazy years ago. And I would call my agent, and I'd go, and she'd go, no, you're fine. Find something else to do. I'm like, okay. One of the things I realized is that I knew really well how to go into build it mode, which is where you push really hard and you work really hard and you do a million things, but I didn't yet understand maintain it mode, where you can do things like recover, like pause, just recharge your batteries, go out and widen your actual life. That's where I discovered volunteering. I mean, I always knew about volunteering, but I discovered the true gift of it to me as a person was it gave back to me and really widened my life and widened my experience, which awesomely I could bring back into my work, which is great. It's a wonderful feedback loop, right? So what do you do? What do you do with that time? It's a time when you can step back and you can look at your business and say, okay, have I diversified in my business? If I'm working less, there is potential that I will be having less money coming in. Can I create another income stream? That's what we call them on Skills Hub, is income streams, because they all feed the big river of your abundance, right? In other words, what I did was I initially started working a ton in animation when I came to LA. I mean, when I first started in the industry, it was all commercials. It was all commercials. Then it was film and TV. And then I came to LA and it was animation. And I was very much in style. And I was, all the leads in many things. And then I became not the leads. And I later learned that production companies and creators, networks really, actually say things like, we need someone different. Yeah, they're great, but we need something new. And that allowed me to not take it personally. That allowed me to step back a little bit and go, oh, okay, it's part of the ebb and flow. Like, those roles will be coming again, just not right now. And so what I did was I turned my attention to commercials. And I made sure my demo was sharp, made sure it was out there, checked in with my agents, kind of touched base about, am I getting the right number of auditions that I should be getting for my category and for what's out there? Perfect. Then let it go and just show up, because focusing on your wider life, your wider business, your whole self allows you to come into that booth, and you know this, just calmer and more fulfilled. So that note of, oh, I really need this, is not underneath your read. You're generously coming in there to give, not to get. When you come into the booth to solve your own individual problem, you're coming in to get. When you go into that booth to bring that writer's words to life, you're coming in to give. And you're trusting that it's all going to work out, because it always does, right? And then, my experience was that commercials boomed, and I knew enough to know, because I've been doing commercials since I was a teenager. I knew enough to know that, okay, if I'm working this much in commercials are going to want to break. They're going to need a new flavor. So where else can I go? So I leaned into games, because at the time it wasn't as popular a place to work as it is now. And I really leaned in there and said yes to everything and explored how I could do it. And part of that process was I took classes on all these areas that I wanted to develop or tune up. I mean, I think it was just before the pandemic. I want to say 2019. I took an animation brush up class with Charlie Adler, which was amazing. And that's why we really keep a a constant rotation of classes on Skills Hub for all levels, and we're building more and more of these advanced classes as we speak, actually. So these are the things to do when the work slows down. Let's lay it out really clearly. Number one, normalize that this is just part of it. This is absolutely part of it, and learn how to enjoy it. Learn how to enjoy it. And part of that is check your interpretation of why things are slowing down. Have you decided that they're slowing down because of you? Come up with a few other possible interpretations. The business is slow. It's just the way it is. It's, the universe is making space for me to create another income stream, right? So that's in the next step. First is check yourself first. Check and make sure that you are, in fact, on trend. Your skills are up to speed. Great. Check that off your list. Look then at your business and go, where would I like to build another income stream? Would I like to do that right now? Would I really rather just rest? Maybe I'll just rest. Maybe I'll do that. All right. The next thing to do is to use that time to check in with your team. Take your agents to lunch. If they don't have time, that's fine. Just check in on them. Pop by the office and say thank you. Just say thank you. Don't go in there to make sure they know who you are. Go in there to acknowledge them for what they do for you briefly, effectively, and then move out of the way. Go in there to give. Go in to give, okay? And check in on your peers. Create something for fun. That's something else you can do with this time. Amanda Troop, one of our coaches, made the wonderful point of, we got into this because we love it. Go do something you love to do. You have permission. The world is not going to fall apart. Work will come again. It'll come when you're your busiest. Go enjoy yourself. And the last bit of this I would offer is to trust. Really trust. Trust yourself. Is this the time for me to expand my business, or is this the time for me to rest? Is this the time for me to expand my life? Am I going to go travel? Am I going to invest more heavily in my family? What's really called for here? And most of all, enjoy yourself. You're in this for the long run. You remember that. Play the long game. And one of the biggest pieces of the long game is really leaning into that everything falls into place perfectly. It really is all working out beautifully. Super glad you're here. Like, subscribe, and share if you're so inspired. And thank you. We will see you next.